Let's consider a situation where a director, who's also a shareholder, leaves the company and sets up in competition. If we're talking to the remaining shareholders, they will want to know, can we get the shares back? So, Elizabeth, what do we tell them?
What we're really thinking about here is a situation where a shareholder might be forced to sell their shares, and thinking through a few examples of some scenarios might help. So for example, you might want to consider what happens if someone stops working in the business. Maybe that's voluntary, or maybe it's due to ill health. If someone goes to work for a competitor, as Paul's mentioned, or perhaps they're in breach of a service agreement or shareholders agreement. Or finally, perhaps it's a situation where you've got shares held by spouses, and what's going to happen on a separation or divorce, should one of them have to transfer their shares to the other. If shareholders might be forced to sell their shares, you might want to consider how this works. For example, who's going to have a right to buy the shares, and what price are they going to pay? And does that price depend on the circumstances which triggered the sale in the first place? For example, would a shareholder who was in breach of their service agreement, effectively in breach of their terms of employment, or who set up in competition, receive the same price with someone who had to leave the business because they were ill?
Our message here is suspend your disbelief. You may not think this will apply to you, but we certainly see it happen. Think about the hypothetical situation when something goes wrong and what you think would be a reasonable outcome. It's much easier to get a consensus on that before it happens and whilst everyone is working well together.